Hi, everyone. I'm County Commissioner Ashley Grimm.
And I'm State Senator Jen McEwen.
And this is Official Friends.
Yay!
So today we will be talking a lot about data centers, some of the sweetheart deals they get, and the role of non-disclosures and secrecy.
Yes.
As well as some updates that we have locally.
Yeah, sounds great.
I have a big update on the County for Public Health and Human Services conference. All of the LGBTQ plus information on it and any conference materials and presentations related to that have been scrubbed because of Trump executive directives and the threats to our county funding. And so this was really news to me, which I think says a lot about process and that these need to be board decisions. We also have to find ways of resisting right now.
Yeah.
It can't be enough to say, okay, you're gonna play hardball. We're gonna potentially risk funding. So we're gonna throw trans people under the bus. That cannot be the solution.
No.
Whether or not it's, hey, someone else needs to hold the Public Health and Human Services conference. If we can't do a conference right, we should not do it.
Yeah,
Let's figure out ways we can partner in community, just like we're going to have to
have the conference, have it be done the right way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to do that in so many ways.
Are these empty threats? Are they real? Do they have any legal validity or weight? You know, and just to know, because it's so important to know whether public officials, either elected or who are doing the sort of regular day in, day out work at the county, if they are sort of pre-complying. Like you have this thing that happens with authoritarianism and fascism where because of sort of that fear and the chilling and the silencing of people, that people pre-comply. Like they're like, I just don't want the trouble. I don't want to have to deal with, or in this case, if it's, I don't want to be sued. I don't want to get into trouble. So then you just comply in advance. And so it would be helpful to know from the county attorney's office, if they've looked at these contracts, to say, yes, this is a real fear. This is something that we expect the administration could do and probably would do and have legal validity to do? Or is this sort of a spurious threat that is just sort of something meant to oppress people and make people afraid?
And what is the Attorney General's office?
Yeah.
I feel like the Attorney General's.
Yeah, there's definitely got to be a role there for that.
Yeah. So that's my kind of biggest county update.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. My dad watched our first podcast. Hi, Dad, if you watch this, I love you. And he was like, when are you going to talk about things that you're for and things that you can do? And I was like, I know there's just a lot of really bad stuff to get through.
There's a lot of bad stuff happening right
So
now.
at some point we'll talk about universal health care coverage, a lot of these things.
Yes.
Some of today is going to be talking about resistance and about kind of holding back bad things too.
Yeah. And hopefully sometimes out of these discussions about trying to hold back some of the really scary things that we're seeing happen right now in our communities and our nation and society, like that out of some of this really hard stuff, hopefully what we're doing is we're sowing the seeds for universal health care.
Yes.
Public ownership of our essential utilities. Yes. Like all the various things that we know that we should have as a society, as a community, and support each other in, that we can be sowing those seeds right now.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of really rough stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jen's going to talk about the new Taylor Swift album. Have you listened to it?
No, but my daughter has, like, many times, I think.
What has
I was wondering what you were going to say. Well, a lot of things have been on my mind this last week or two, this last year, but especially in just this last week. Most recently, I have been really alarmed to learn about some of the fascist actions that our federal government agencies have taken in Chicago. Which is our premier Midwest city the great city of Chicago. And as I understand it from reporting, there was a horrifying federal government raid on an apartment building in Chicago where agents rappelled down from Black Hawk helicopters at like 1 a.m. They, banged on people's doors in this apartment. They woke children up from their beds at 1 a.m. They zip tied people, including children. They made people in this apartment building come out of the apartment building in like their pajamas or, hardly wearing anything in the middle of the night, made them wait for hours while the feds tried to hunt down who has the right papers, who doesn't have the right papers. I mean, this is like, this is what everybody always imagines when we're talking about like the Gestapo coming into a city and jackbooted thugs like knocking down doors. I've seen it kind of like trickle through in my social media feed on, and then had to, saw friends who had kind of dug for more information about what was going on. But like, where's the national news?
I think you're right about the best news on these, and in LA is the local reporting.
Yeah. My understanding is also that the legal paperwork, the warrants that they would have needed to make those entries weren't properly there. I mean, it sounds like they didn't know who was a citizen and who wasn't. That's why they made people wait outside of their homes for hours, zip tied. So here we got to talk about how we're gonna stop things like that from expanding and continuing to happen in communities around the country. And I hope that this is, as word gets out, that for more and more people, that this will be a sort of wake-up call of just how dangerous of a situation we're in right now in terms of whether or not we're moving toward a place where the ideals that we have set out in our law, like the Fourth Amendment, like, are we endeavoring to give those rights more and more protection over time, or are we moving backwards to a place where those rights are, only for some people, only for certain people, and are sort of thrown in the trash for others?
Yeah. I will try. Last time I wasn't very good about putting episode notes. I'll really try to put some episode notes on good local coverage of these events, as well as some Know Your Rights campaigns. There's some really good information that was out there about how ICE can sometimes try to trick you to give consent to come into their home if they don't have a warrant, which almost always they don't have a warrant. So sometimes you'll hear things like, hey, we are looking into a crime and we believe you have information about this person. They could even show you a picture of just a person. And can you come into the office? Can we come into your home?
No.
So there's some things like that where I could see just going, I would be a helpful person. I want to find a missing person. And they're used as tools to get compliance and to violate your Fourth Amendment rights.
Yeah. So like they're using people's goodwill against them.
So we'll put those links in and then keep you posted on the kind of community conversations that are coming together around this. Oh, question 1, early voting.
Oh, yeah. Look it.
And great news, this arrived at my door today. There's so amazing work from Duluth tenants. Early voting is open already.
Yes.
The election is November 4th, and you can vote yes to question 1 for Duluth Right to Repair.
It's so cool. So good. Yeah, the work that this group has done, the Tenants Union, the organizing, so powerful and inspiring. It's just all of these tenants in Duluth got together, said, hey, what kind of stuff do we need to help make our quality of life better? And this is one of the things they identified.
Yeah.
And they're doing it. I mean, it makes so much sense. We can make these repairs to our house.
Yeah.
And then deduct those small repair amounts from the rent. Just go through a basic common sense process.
And you have to get someone who's licensed to do it, so you don't have to worry about the liability of it.
Or liability.
There's a lot of misinformation about that, but it's really a common sense approach, and I love their messaging. It was, nobody should have to go to court over a leaky faucet or a broken doorknob.
Hear, hear. That's right.
That's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. The other big thing maybe I could just say, in terms of what we've been thinking about this last week. On Friday, so today is Sunday afternoon, 2 days ago, the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission approved the sale of our power company, Minnesota Power, to the private equity behemoth, BlackRock Corporation. There are a lot of concerns that a number of people have, myself included, about the effects that this sale will have, and not just in terms of rates, which is a real concern. I think that we've seen rates going up all around the country, and in part, it does have to do with private equity investing, especially in data centers,
Yes.
which is another sort of related issue that we can talk about next. But so what is that going to mean in terms of both raising rates for people here in our community, their electric rates? What is it going to mean for the people who work for Minnesota Power? What is it going to mean for the longevity and stability of our power company that provides an essential service to our community? And I do think as we look forward, as we're moving forward through this period and the sale goes through, now is a really good time for us to start having some conversations about public ownership of our essential utilities.
Just like Superior is having right now.
Yep. The city of Superior is having that discussion right now and doing a study looking into that and what it would mean. We'll be reaching out to our other local elected officials, but both at the local, city, county, state level, I think we should start having some conversations about whether or not at least part of our electric company's portfolio, like the residential customers in particular, could be kind of screened off and public ownership taken, so that we have real stability in that area. So a lot of conversations to come.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk data centers?
I would love to talk data centers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, since they're happening, I would love to talk about it. I wish we didn't have to talk about data centers.
Right? Well, can I just say as a first off, so data centers have been around for a long time, right? This is something that I didn't really know until we started talking about data centers at the legislature this year. Yeah. We have data centers, like the Target Corporation has data centers, like different, corporate entities, government. There are smaller scale data centers than we are looking at the possibility of building now. But they're data centers, they're full of computers and they're processing data but up until now, just the scale and the size of those data centers is nothing compared to what is being contemplated in terms of these mega size data centers that use, as much electricity, as much water as like an entire city or community of people plus. So, this is on a whole new scale of seriousness when we're talking about data centers. Yeah.
The assumptions are, one, it's inevitable. You need to have these data centers. All the data we're collecting, we need to collect. Those crazy Facebook quizzes that...
what do we do without them?
How would we know what Pokemon best embodies us?
Yeah.
There was once a family member of mine who, one of the young kids in our family said, "Can we use your Facebook?" This is like 10 years ago. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I saw on their Facebook, it was, "What's your sexy stripper name?" And I was like, why is this data? And
such valuable data.
And that's okay, an okay profession, but this is the kind of data that they start tracking. Yeah. So there's this idea that we need to track all this information. It's inevitable. And that we should not also be talking about the current power grid. We shouldn't talk about the massive overwhelming of forces on that power grid. We should just assume that we should have some of the largest power users we've ever seen, mega users, added to that power grid.
Yeah.
I just can't I can't believe that instead of recognizing we're in a hole and trying to stop digging, that we're just making it a crater for data centers.
Yeah.
For free chat GBT.
I don't.
Any stupid thing you want. Jen and I could put, hey, what's our mission statement for official friends, and use up all this data. It's insane.
Yeah. It is pretty wild. You know, when we were at the Capitol this last session, we had a lot of discussion about data centers, this like up and coming issue, and how much water they use and how much electricity they use and what is going to be the effect on our electric grid and on our systems, and not even touching really like the noise pollution or the habitat destruction or the light pollution. Like there's so many things, the displacement of people. So there's a lot of issues to talk about around it. But I remember one of the things that my colleagues brought up in one of our discussions was that actually there's been some studies done about like the data that is being produced by these new data centers, or estimated about what that data will go to. And the percentage of online porn was much higher than I would have ever imagined it to be. And I mean, so
I'm for them.
I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, I just think it's worth considering when we're looking at the is this a good idea? Is this not a good idea? How many resources would we have to give as a society to have this production of these things? Like, it's just one of the pieces of the puzzle to consider. Like, maybe there is a large percentage of our population that are like, yeah, like pump Lake Superior for that porn, man. I mean, like, let's do it. I mean, maybe that's...
We have the episode title, Pumping Lake Superior for
online porn. Yeah. Right. Maybe we're gonna, have our electric rates all go up and we're just willing to pay it because we just really want that online porn. I don't know. But I don't want to give up those things for those types of things. So I think I thought it was sort of a funny example of like you said, like the kind of data that the internet is producing, that this like large communication network that we have across the world at this point, like obviously it provides us a lot of valuable, amazing things, but it's also providing a lot of like stuff driven by like weird capitalist drive for profit, right? Like weird, like how many clicks can you get and how can we maximize the amount of money that we're sucking from this enterprise? So when we're talking about building a data center, what we're talking about is fueling that in large part. It's not like we're talking about, better communication around the world and technology to help like spur innovation and build things and bring us into the next better place. Like, I think that when we think about the good parts of the internet, that's what we're talking about, all the good stuff. And we want to support all that good stuff, right?
And that's what's being sold too. How can we be more efficient? How can we be more connected? But really, it is about the clicks. It is about the capitalism. It's about making profit for a few people too. I just didn't imagine the destruction of our natural habitat and the world around us to be this meaningless. Like for some things this meaningless. Yeah. So and
it's like capitalism has reached its like peak destructiveness at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, maybe. Well, we're like right there, right? I mean, like we're just had this weekend in Duluth where it has been over 80 degrees in October. I grew up here. I have no memory of ever seeing an October be this hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there is some record that we just beat the record, but so that at some point we did have some hot days. But it's like year after year of like the hottest month overall. Oh, it's even hotter now overall. Oh, again, the next year we're in the top 10. Oh, the next year, like it is obviously, we're seeing our earth like literally be destroyed by the economic system that we have right now. It is it is completely unsustainable. And the data center model just seems to be like a micro example of how that functions, right? And the problems with capitalism overall, like capitalism as a system that our whole economy is driven by, right?
Yeah.
At least to me, that's how I'm feeling about it. Like, I mean, it's the problems with capitalism are numerous, but there are some key parts of it that end up causing so much destruction in our communities to people and our planet. And at some point it comes to a head. Like it doesn't lead us, because the good things that we need in our society, like healthcare, like affordable housing, like childcare, like a number of our essential things are just not profitable enough for the owners of capital to invest in consistently enough to provide that for people.
And I think that hits home that not only are there problems with just data centers in the community, these mass mega users of energy, but there's also a secondary problem of the subsidies that they get. These
Oh gosh.
sweetheart deals.
Yeah, right.
And I love to examine that more. I remember I talked to one of your colleagues, Representative Cal War was, and it was the only time I felt truly like I came off unhinged at the Capitol. I just could not stop myself about these data centers last year, and I told them, I said, our world is going to be almost uninhabitable in large portions of it. And our kids are going to ask us, what did we do in this moment? Like, what did we do?
Yeah.
And are we going to be on our phones until the end? And he said, in a data center? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, at least we'll be having fun.
Well, I do think that there's a whole like segment of legislators who, I mean, they regularly say it. They actually outwardly say it in committee on the floor of the Senate and the House of like, they don't believe that climate change is real.
In Minnesota.
They believe that it's a hoax. Like they actually don't think that it's real. They don't listen to the scientists who are saying this is happening in real time. Can't you see? Or the farmers in their own districts who are like, yeah, things are really different now. And we're having to change our farming practices, not because we want to, but because these are, we're worried about the climate and how it's changing and how that's going to affect our ability to make a living in the way that we farm. So I don't know. I just think it's a kind of a denialism.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to talk about around data centers, which I think is really sort of the crux or the good governance crux of all of this, is just how much of data center development right now is happening in secret.
Yes.
So we made an effort at the state capitol last year to prohibit data center developers from entering into agreements, non-disclosure agreements with local municipalities, because there's many of us who feel that that's totally improper. Like the scale of these potential developments is such that it's not like you should be able to just talk to a couple of elected officials, have everybody sign off and say like, don't tell anybody about this.
Yeah.
And then go forward and have the people's officials at the city level or at the county level working with this private developer to bring this business in that people don't even know the scale of it or what it would mean. And by the time we're able to weigh in, like the train's going to be so far down the track that it's going to be really difficult to stop that if we feel that it should be stopped. So I have some real questions. Oh, we weren't successful at the state level, by the way. That amendment to prohibit that from happening was voted down on a bipartisan basis, I will add. Both Republicans and Democrats.
Do you remember the vote count?
Yeah, I could go look it up. I think I posted it up on my Facebook page back in the spring. That. Yeah, I'll look for it. It was a very interesting vote. But I think that going forward, we again need to revisit that to say, number one, like elected officials shouldn't be able to sign non-disclosure agreements like that to be quiet. It's such a huge conflict of interest.
Yes.
I mean, you're there as an elected official to represent your constituents, and instead you're signing a document promising that you're going to keep all of this a secret from the people, from your bosses, the people that elected you, who you're working for.
You're signing away your rights. You are signing away your rights to talk to your constituents about discussions about their money that they're giving.
Yes, it's so outrageous. Like, I can't imagine how that could ever be okay. But that is, people should know, like that. And I think just up in Hermantown, right up over the hill, there was a non-disclosure agreement that has now been like revealed to be a proposed data center that they're talking about putting up over the hill. And the media finally has cottoned on to that and started covering it a little bit more. But it's really not clear what the plans even are for this data center. And then we have elected officials who signed non-disclosure agreements, so they can't even talk about it.
The interesting piece is, to me, at least on the county side, I can't even officially know who signed a non-disclosure agreement about the data center, but all signs are that there are multiple county commissioners in St. Louis County who signed non-disclosure agreements with a company about a big project, right? And so it's very possible that you have county commissioners signing non-disclosure agreements for that data center. So, and it's not something I would know. It's not something I would ever sign. But that's why I'm going to be bringing forward, I've contacted administration about this, at least a county resolution to make it so that county elected officials cannot sign away their rights to talk about constituents about what they plan to do with public money.
Yeah,
totally. And anyone who tells you that, oh, don't worry, like there's open meeting laws and you can't build consensus, that does not solve the problem of non-disclosures. Mm-hmm. You should be able to talk to your constituents anytime about this process. Mm-hmm. But also, when you've built even 3 county commissioners being in on these talks, and then they start to build this coalition, they know who their allies are, and it makes it almost impossible to overturn that vote when there's already been months and months of conversation. And also, if you decide to give public money, budgets are voted on in December. So are we running out the clock? It's October.
Yeah.
And so if there's companies asking for 5, 10, whatever $million, we have to make those decisions really soon. Mm-hmm. And so we'll hear about that in the 11th hour and pretend that other commissioners can stop it. It's insane.
Yeah.
So
there's
I think
no
it's really
time
important
to plan that whole idea of secrecy like that and keeping such a big, impactful development project out of the public knowledge and not.
And whether or not it's data centers too. But I think data centers are really important to have that public disclosure.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Really should be any development project that involves public money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for your advocacy on that.
Absolutely. But people should be asking more questions about that, about how are we holding public officials accountable to the public and the responsible use of public money in development projects. And, how are we also holding the business community accountable? Just because of they hold so much power in our community. These, have a large behemoth like Google or Amazon or Meta or like coming in wanting to build a data center. And I don't know who it is who wants to build a Hermantown one. It's
the nature of the problem right there.
That's the nature of the problem. But in order to those companies have money to burn. So the idea that they, in addition to bringing the power of all the lobbyists that they bring to bear, they also want secrecy so they can have a competitive advantage. And they can also make sure that any opposition won't come until the 11th hour.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that the people who are worried about water, people who are worried about electric use, they don't have time to get we get organized together to meaningfully oppose something when it just happens right at the end.
And to collect their own data around.
Yeah,
I mean, we know that with some of these areas where there's been data centers that because they get sweetheart deals, people's electric bills have gone up 70%.
Yeah.
But then you try to bring that up at public comment or in your organizing, and then they'll say, well, we don't, you didn't bring all the studies. Well, you didn't have a lot of time for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you posted on what happens there.
Coming up, I do look forward to talking about some of the effects of that the federal cuts are having on people's healthcare.
Yes.
Which is already, we have really like a broken, well, we don't really have a system in the US for healthcare. It's a weird patchwork of for-profit making and also like band-aids on systemic problems. But it stands to get even worse, So I look forward to talking about that with you and also about universal health care and the Minnesota Health Plan.
Yeah.
And how we can get there. And also, I also want to have some discussion about, as we go forward, about what our local and state governments can do to help protect people from some of the most oppressive and outrageous authoritarian moves from the Trump administration.
Yes.
So I don't think anybody wants, masked strangers banging on their door and dragging them out of their home at night. And what can our local officials and state officials do to try to protect people from that sort of abuse? So, talk more.
And what kind of great community movements are happening and can happen for us to all be in community together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I
Sounds
hope
good.
everyone's staying safe, and thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.